Thanks to Dollar Shave Club, I've gone from looking like this to looking like this. They've sponsored this video, so a huge thank you to them. Stick around until the end of the video to hear about a special offer they're running through my channel. Okay, on with the video. Part of being a YouTuber with an audience is that your email address magically finds its way onto various PR databases, and you're constantly spammed with emails promoting smaller indie titles that you've never heard of before. Personally, I'd like to give many of them a look, but it just isn't possible. While 98% of the YouTube airwaves are consumed with discussion about the new AAA behemoth, there are dozens of smaller indie titles released every day that struggle to break through the cloud cover and get their message out. Sometimes it happens and a game goes on to get the attention it so rightly deserves. More often, it doesn't, and an extremely deserving title fades into both critical and commercial obscurity. It's for precisely this reason that I started the Please Don't Skip This series, where I leave behind the bloat of the AAA gaming space and try and shine a light on lesser known titles that come in under the radar. I don't do nearly enough of these videos, and I always feel guilty about that, so I'm really glad to be making this video today. Ladies and gentlemen, let me show you A Plague Tale: Innocence.
Amicia, I want to see Mommy.
Hugo.
I want her to come back.
I'll carry you. Mommy is dead, Hugo. You'll never see her again. Go away! Hugo, no! Leave me alone.
Don't take too long.
I hate you.
It's for your own good, Hugo.
I'm sorry, I'm sick.
They've come back. Everything is alright. Now.
Why does she keep resisting like that? Only our methods differ. We have the same goal. We both fight the plague.
A Plague Tale: Innocence is that best kind of surprise in this sort of business. A game that is entirely new IP, based on a crazy weird premise that we've never seen before, released with almost no hype behind it, made by a studio that almost no one has ever heard of. It's the video game equivalent of the King hit From Behind, the only difference being that it's really good instead of being, really bad. Plague Tale is developed by Asobo Studios. So given that this is an intensely dark and macabre experience set during the Black Plague in 14th century France, it's unsurprising to learn that Asobo really limbered up for this one with their equally dark previous releases, including WALL-E, Toy Story 3, Connect Rush, a Disney Pixar adventure, and Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties. Having said that, they did make a Ratatouille game, so this is not their first rat-based rodeo. From the outset, Plague Tale stuns with its choice of setting. Games often embrace periods of intense conflict as backdrops for their stories, but war is a welterweight compared to the super heavyweight plagues that have ravaged humanity, particularly the Black Death, which raged from 1347 to 1351. To put it in perspective, World War I and World War II claimed an estimated 150 million lives when the world's population was around 2.3 billion people. The Black Death claimed 100 million lives when the world's population was estimated to be around 450 million people. It took 200 years for the world's population to recover. It's in this moribund moment that A Plague Tale's events unfold. Stricken with plague, order begins to collapse throughout the towns and cities. Desperate to retain control, the local clergy seek out Hugo, a young noble boy whose blood is said to house something important. Ruthless in their pursuit of him, they slaughter his household, forcing Hugo's big sister Amicia to flee with Hugo to keep him safe. Their journey is a quest of survival, fleeing from the clergy who relentlessly pursue Hugo for his blood, while trying to find a cure for a mysterious disease that his blood seems to inflict. It wouldn't be accurate to call the relationship between Amicia and Hugo the core of the experience because there are so many brilliant foundations here, but certainly among those is the relationship between a brother and sister who clearly do not know each other very well at the start of this journey, and who have to learn to trust each other and work together in order to stay alive. This is a game that is carried in large part by the character performances, and Amicia and Hugo's often tense exchanges are always brilliantly scripted, framed, and delivered.
What on earth are you doing? Put that mallet down. Are you stupid or what?
I am not stupid!
Don't shout.
Children, that's enough noise.
I want to see Mommy!
Shut up. You're going to get us killed.
Mommy will protect us!
A Plague Tale lacks the emotional intensity of God of War, but only because it isn't trying to be that. It's less melodramatic, more understated, more subtle, and in a way more believable. Amicia clearly struggles to connect with Hugo at the start of their journey, but through hardship, their bond grows, and you can feel the affection that they have for each other grow as well.
It's an error.
What is this book about?
It's the story of a little boy who's going to get a lot better now.
This same feeling of connectedness is mirrored in Amicia's relationship to the various supporting characters you'll meet throughout your journey. Alchemists, thieves, apprentice blacksmiths, all of these you'll meet, and through happenstance, a ragtag fellowship begins to emerge, with all of them committed to protecting Hugo as fiercely as Amicia does. Funnily enough, all of these supporting characters are also children or teenagers, which lends a sense of adventure to all of the proceedings. It's like the Goonies or the Little Rascals, only with way more rats, and had an adult been part of this mix, it would have no doubt changed the tenor of their interactions with each other.
Having fun, are you? I'm sure the Inquisition are too.
Many will say that A Plague's Tale story is brilliant, but I wouldn't agree with this. As you play, I think you'll very quickly realise that the story is actually pretty threadbare, and as it spirals further and further away from its more grounded and realistic foundations, it may even disappoint some people. But I don't think the story matters nearly as much as the character drama that plays out in this little troupe, and I was always far more interested in their individual interactions than I was the grand plot that kept the story moving forward. Where I think A Plague Tale is strongest is in its absolutely incredible presentation and atmosphere. Firstly, how the hell did a studio we've never even heard of make a game this beautiful? I mean it, it's absolutely stunning. Its technical excellence exists at every level, texture detail is superb, environmental density is stunning, and the lighting is straight up some of the best lighting I have ever seen in video games. It's remarkable that a studio of some 45 people have been able to put together a game that topples the visuals offered by the vast majority of AAA studios today. Much of this beauty comes from how linear and focused these environments are. Modern AAA games are so often open world, embracing huge maps with dozens of NPCs or enemies roaming around. A Plague Tale is the exact opposite of this, allowing computational power to be directed to the minute detail, and the results are often breathtaking. The achievement isn't just technical, of course, it's the design of these environments that make them so arresting. Sunlit forests that seem too dense to be real, castle vistas that look more like pre-rendered loading screens than real game environments, moonlit cobbled streets or snow-covered plazas. As I look back over the footage I've collected, I'm constantly in awe of it. It's as though in the moment, while playing through it, I couldn't fully appreciate it, but having finished the game, I can stand back and soak all of it in, and it really is a level of visual splendor that you'll rarely encounter. A Plague Tale knows how to be beautiful, but it's the way the game renders ugliness and decay that demonstrates how much range these artists are capable of. From the first moment you step into the shattered nearby town and see how much has been lost at the hands of the plague, you're suffocated by the oppressiveness of these spaces, their density, their claustrophobia, their morbidity. With each new environment, the game finds new ways to surprise you with how entrancing its depiction of death can be. Along with these environments comes a soundtrack that is equally worthy of your attention. The slow, plodding orchestral score often takes center stage as it accentuates drama or builds tension. This particular scene stands out in my memory, as piercing strings seem to stab at you in perfect syncopation with the thunderclaps and lightning strikes above.
I don't see how.
Whoa! Did you see that?
The lightning bolt. They're afraid of lightning. Let's try it. Are you kidding?
There are many more moments like this throughout the game, and it's impossible to walk away from this experience without having parts of the superb soundtrack seared into your memory. Impossible to untangle your recollections of scenes and key moments from the score that accompanied them. As you've no doubt surmised, A Plague Tale is primarily a linear, character-focused drama, and it's perhaps natural to assume that its video game mechanics would be far less impressive than its overall presentation. This really couldn't be further from the truth. A Plague Tale offers stealth and puzzles that are familiar and not particularly notable in their own right, but woven through all of this is a gameplay conceit that links visuals, sound, and themes with gameplay. It's the physical manifestation of the blight that has gripped the world, and the omnipresent sense of terror that looms over everything you do. I'm talking, of course, about the rats.
Father?
No.
I've always been fascinated by ideas that can be reduced to singularity and made manifest, like Hulk. Hulk is rage personified, and when you conceive of him this way, his story becomes far more thematic than just Hulk smash. He is rage in his physical presence, in his slavery to the idea, in the damage that rage causes others. When you drill that deeply into a single idea, it opens up to you and becomes a powerful tool in storytelling or gameplay mechanics. When you dilute that, you get this, which is much less interesting. The rats in A Plague's Tale are that singular idea focused with such intention that provide the bedrock for the entire game's presentation and gameplay design. They flood mercilessly into any space without light, so at first you'll aim to avoid them by lighting up areas so that you can move through. In time though, you'll learn to control light so that you can begin harnessing the rats as your own weapon. As you progress through the game, new tools become available to you to extinguish light from afar, to lure rats to certain locations, or to simply blow them up altogether. And it's the way that all of these can be used at once in the game's environmental puzzles and enemy-based puzzles that make each encounter so rewarding. None of it is complex or demanding, but it always feels extremely satisfying because of the synergy that exists between the setting and the gameplay. None of it is getting in the way of anything else. All parts of it are always complementing all the other parts. I could talk about how silly and blind the enemies are, and they certainly are in many instances, but to do so would be to complain about something so inconsequential to this experience that it's almost a waste of time. If you want tactical espionage action, go play Metal Gear. With A Plague's Tale, you're not investing your time and money into it for its sophisticated AI, so don't worry about that. A Plague's Tale will last you some 10 hours, and there's no replay value in it whatsoever. It sells for cheaper than a full-price AAA release, and it has no microtransactions. I ran it on a PC and had absolutely zero crashes and only some very minor frame drops when there were a lot of rats on screen and I was quickly panning my camera around. I played almost the entire thing on stream, and my average viewer duration for most of that stream was the duration of the stream. People were just blown away by it and they just wanted to keep watching it, and I was really glad that I got to share that with them, and I'm really glad that I get to share it with you now. Asobo has been a developer that's focused on ports and licensed games since its foundation in 2002, and yet here in A Plague's Tale, they've immediately established themselves as a remarkably talented developer that many people will be keeping a close eye on for many years to come. I can only imagine how good the Asobo team is feeling right now over there after creating something so wonderful, and for breaking through that cloud cover in a way that so few smaller games are able to do. Congrats Asobo on your success, and to anyone watching this video, if you liked what you saw here, pick the game up. You almost surely will not regret it.
You must protect him, Amicia.
Guys, thanks very much for watching the video. I appreciate you staying to the end. If you liked it, maybe hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you're keen. If you really want to support me, consider checking out Dollar Shave Club. They're sponsoring the video. Dollar Shave Club, you've probably heard of them. They have really good quality razors, really like them, and they're much cheaper than the alternatives. And they also sell other stuff. For example, they have stuff like shampoo and shaving butter and face cleansers and body cleansers and all those things that I personally won't often use, but my wife will sometimes yell at me and be like, you need to moisturize, and I'd be like, what the hell is that? And then I'll have to use it. So that's what it is. Guys, check it out. There's a deal going at the moment on my channel. Actually, there's a link in the description below. They're running a promo where you can get discounted stuff for like $5 for a starter kit. That's through my link from my channel. Check it out, and thanks again, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.